Hi, I'm Laura, and welcome to the Tarot Genie, where you receive intuitive answers from the tarot to your burning questions about life and more. How can you persevere this week in some aspect of your life? That's the theme for the outlook for May 31st to June 6th. How can you persevere more effectively in a particular area of your life? And the inspiration for this reading is Madam C.J. Walker. Her actual real name was Sarah Breedlove, but she was famous for being the first, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, the first female self-made millionaire in the United States. She was born in the late 1800s, and I think she died in the early 1900s, but she became a millionaire. Her parents had been slaves, so she was born in very difficult, in poverty and difficult situation. But she was able to create $1 million business because she came up with a particular hair product for African American women. And that just put her into an unusual position, especially for African Americans at that time in particular, and of anyone in general. Very few millionaires at that time in the early 1900s, but particularly given all the strikes she had against her because of the color of her skin, the poverty she had grown up in, etc. And there was last year, I watched it, it was fascinating. It was a movie version on Netflix called Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker. I mean, that was her business name. Again, her real name was Sarah Breedlove. And so that was a very good, greatly enjoyed that. I think it was a short series on Netflix about her life, her business, etc. So check that out. I'll put some information about that in, if I'm not sure if Netflix still has it on or not, but it's worth checking out. And a book that I have put on my to listen list, because I'm going to listen to it on Audible, is called On Her Own Ground: The Life and Times of Madam C.J. Walker by Lelia Bundles. And I first heard about Madam C.J. Walker because years ago someone in my Toastmaster group spoke about her. I thought, wow, how's it I've never heard about this fascinating woman? It's just like the women in, now I forgot the name already, that wonderful movie, Hidden Figures, about the women, the mathematicians, the African American mathematicians, brilliant women who were behind the whole launch in the early 1960s, the space launches, etc., and how it was just amazing that I could be my age, which I won't say right now, and have never heard about them until a few years ago. Well, likewise, until about 10 years ago, I'd never heard of Madam C.J. Walker. So these are areas that really need to be addressed in our history books. I mean, there needs to be much more complete information about the people in our history. Anyway, just to get back to Madam C.J. Walker, so I thought she'd be a good inspiration, just as last week I used Frida Kahlo as the inspiration for turning pain into power. I feel that Madam C.J. Walker is great inspiration for how to persevere against all odds. Against all odds is what she had. The song I love is You Gotta Be by Desiree. It came out in 1999. It's a mix from then. I just think it's a beautiful song. I love the lyrics. The woman Desiree is absolutely stunning in that music video. So check that out. So let's get going. We're going to ask, how can you persevere this week in some area of your life? Mentally, physically, and spiritually. Physically meaning the actions taken. Mentally, your mindset. Physically, the actions to take. And spiritually, just what you need to animate your spirit to be able to persevere this week. All right, I'm going to lay out the cards and then I will discuss them with you. All right, the first card, mentally, how can you persevere this week? Well, this card it's the Five of Coins, or Five of Pentacles reversed. And we're talking about mindset. This seems appropriate, especially if you have any challenges with finances, material things, etc. When upright, this card, the Five of coins or Five of Pentacles, it represents, it looks like a very bleak picture. We've got these two beggars traipsing through or trudging through the snow. Their threadbare clothing is barely keeping them warm. You just can imagine how cold and freezing they are with that cold, that biting cold. I mean, they're even barefoot through the snow. I just can't even imagine. And it's just, they look downtrodden, they're hunched over, and so clearly they've reached a very difficult patch in their life. And yet, it's interesting, right behind them, which they don't seem to be acknowledging, but it's a good reminder, behind them is a warm church. And you just feel that warmth coming from through that stained glass window, that right behind them is a sanctuary, is an area that they can go to for safety, for warmth. Now, given that this is reversed, and I asked, mentally, what do you need to do or to think about, the mindset to adopt to persevere in some area of your life, is to let go of that negative thinking, let go of that I don't have enough, that not enoughness in your mindset. If you have any of that, if you acknowledge that you have that, it's time to release it. It's time to release any poverty consciousness you may have and persevere. In fact, that's what Madam C.J. Walker did. Even though she was, I believe she was a washerwoman, she was cleaning houses, etc., barely scraping by. But at some level, she had an inner dream, a dream to have her own business, and she just eventually discarded that whole poverty consciousness. So this first Five of Coins, Five of Pentacles reverse is suggesting the mindset you should adopt is just letting go of any lingering negativity, feeling less than, poverty consciousness, to start letting that go. If you want to persevere, you've got to rise above that. Physically, what actions to take? Now this seems quite appropriate. The Seven of Wands, which was the card that I discussed last week in the Lessons of the Tarot cards. The Seven of Wands. Physically, you've got to take a stance, and that may mean in your just how you carry yourself. If you want to persevere, this could be in your workplace, this could be in a relationship, it could be in something in your family, whatever it is, or other realm. Take a stance. Physically, make that clear. Make it unquestionable to anyone who encounters you that you are dedicated to whatever this is, that you are not going to back down, that you are determined, you are on your high horse, but not in the negative sense. You have that elevated stance, you know where you are, and you're not going to back down. And this reminds me of a particular personal situation, a family situation, in which an individual has made a decision, and it could, a lot of other individuals related to that person, making it very neutral here, could push back, say, no, this is not the decision to make. No, no, no. And this individual has decided that yes, indeed, they have a valid point, valid reasons, and they're going to stand firm. They feel confident in their decision. So in terms of persevering, it means taking that stance, making it evident in the tone of your voice, how you carry yourself, all of that physical presence must be powerful for you to continue to persevere. I'm getting worked up about this as I talk. And then finally, spiritually, from the spiritual perspective, what do you need to know to persevere? And we have the Queen of Wands reversed. Now, when upright, the Queen of Wands, being a queen, regal, is authoritative. The queens, though, are also, they're authoritative, but at the same time, they're very nurturing. Very nurturing. What always jumps out at me is that sunflower. Just that idea of she's dedicated to beauty and to that connection with nature. It seems the beauty of nature, and she's got that fire energy because it's a wand, and she's looking off, but it's just seems to me that she's very clear and definitive about her position and her purpose in life. And also we've got that little mangy cat. So the black cat's always kind of a quizzical image there, but I think it presents or represents something a little bit quizzical and funny, unexpected, but it's kind of keeping things lively. Now, given that this is reversed, I feel since we were asking the question, how can we, like Madam C.J. Walker, persevere against all odds, is that we've got to really feel solid in our authority inwardly first. We've got to adopt that so strongly before it's demonstrated externally. I mean, I'm speaking from the spiritual perspective, in our spirit. I mean, we just said a moment ago, physically, we want to have that presence of being very determined. But from our spiritual perspective, we want to really internalize, nurture ourselves, nurture our passion, nurture our purpose. That's what I believe is being called for now that it's coming a little bit clearer as I continue talking. That's how we can persevere like Madam C.J. Walker, that adopting that attitude of that inner passion, inner purpose that we are going to hold on to with our own little unique quirkiness and quizzical, or quirkiness, I'd say. The little unexpected thing an unexpected perspective that we may have on things. But to persevere this week in a particular area of our lives, spiritually, we need to adopt that strength of that inner passion and purpose and fire. That's what needs to be done. So overall, there's inner work here. There's also external, that presence of making it clear to other people where we're coming from if we want to persevere. I mean, Madam C.J. Walker was in a whole different time, the early 1900s, where, I mean, it's bad enough now, still have racism in this country, but back then it was just, I guess it was even clearer cut, but she was able to persevere. She had that fire, that passion, that spirit, and she became, as she gained experience, she became very authoritative and very determined, and she was no nonsense, and she stuck to her guns, from what I understand. So I hope this has been helpful for you. If you've not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And until next time, remember, illumine your mind, inspire your life with tarot.